The salvage ship Wayfarer drifted slowly at the edge of an uncharted sector. The crew had been searching for valuable scrap for weeks with little success. Fuel levels were low. Food supplies were almost gone, and the mood inside the ship was heavy. Ren, the crew leader, stood near the forward viewport, scanning the darkness of space for anything unusual. He had been in the salvage business for most of his life, and he knew that the best finds often appeared where no one else dared to look. Today, something strange caught his attention. Far in the distance, beyond the glow of a dying star, a dark shape floated against the endless black. At first, it looked like an asteroid, but its sharp lines and massive structure hinted at something far greater. Ren adjusted the ship's scanners, and the image became clearer. It was a vessel, larger than any he had ever seen. The hull was covered with deep scars, yet it was still in one piece. No transponder signal came from it, and no active energy. Readings showed on his instruments. Lyra, bring us closer, Ren said to the pilot. His voice was calm, but his eyes stayed locked on the mysterious object. The Wayfarer moved through the silent void. As they approached, more details came into view. The ship's armor plating was a dull silver, with strange markings carved into the metal. The lines were straight and bold, unlike the smooth curves of modern designs. In the center of the hull was a large emblem, a circle enclosing a stylized shape like a starburst. None of the crew recognized it. Tor, the engineer, frowned at the readings on his console. No power, no life signs. If this thing has been here for centuries, it should have broken apart. This is unnatural. Ren's mind was turning quickly. Many spacefaring races had existed before the current era, but none had used such symbols. And then a thought came to him, an old story, something told in deep space bars, about a race called humans. Most believe they were only a legend, of vanished people who had fought wars that shook entire star systems. No one had seen a true human ship in hundreds of years. The Wayfarer slid alongside the massive vessel. Compared to it, their own ship looked like a toy. The silent giant's hull stretched so far that it disappeared into the darkness at both ends. Ren ordered the crew to prepare docking clamps as the two ships connected. A low metallic thud echoed through the Wayfarer's corridors inside the airlock. The crew prepared to board. They wore simple pressure suits with helmet lights, carrying scanners to map the interior. Ren was first to step through. The moment his boots touched the ancient deck, he felt an odd vibration, faint but steady, running through the metal under his feet. The air inside was stale and cold, yet breathable, a sign that the life support systems, at some level, were still functioning. The corridor ahead was wide and tall, built for a much larger crew than Ren's small team. The walls were lined with panels and strange devices, all dark and silent. Dust floated in the low gravity, drifting with their every movement, every sound they made. The click of boots, the hiss of breathing, seemed loud in the stillness. They moved deeper into the ship, passing massive doorways that led into chambers filled with rows of silent consoles. Some rooms looked like command centers, others like storage bays, but all were untouched by time. The crew whispered to each other, as if speaking to loudly might wake something. At the heart of the vessel, they found what appeared to be the main control room. It was vast, with a central command chair surrounded by a ring of control panels. Large viewing windows showed the endless darkness outside. In front of the chair, a circular pedestal rose from the floor. It was smooth, with a faint pattern carved into its surface, the same emblem they had seen on the ship's hull. Tor knelt beside the pedestal, brushing away layers of dust. This looks like some kind of command interface, but the design is old, very old. Ren approached slowly. He reached out to touch the emblem, but before his fingers made contact, the metal pulsed with a faint light. The crew froze. The light spread along the pedestal's surface, then across the floor and walls, tracing lines like rivers of energy. One by one, the consoles around the room flickered to life. The viewing windows darkened and transformed into glowing screens filled with symbols in a language none of them knew. A calm, mechanical voice spoke from hidden speakers. The tone was precise and clear, But the words were strange after a moment. The voice shifted into the universal trade language. Identified. Command authority required. The crew exchanged uncertain looks. Lyra stepped forward. We're salvage workers. We found your ship abandoned. There was a pause, then the voice spoke again. Designation Invictus. Human strategic dreadnought. Status dormant for 312 years. Awaiting command input. The word human made every member of the crew tense. Ren felt. His heart quickened. He looked around at the glowing consoles, the massive control room, the emblem of the old stories. This was no ordinary relic. This was a weapon from a forgotten age, built by a race that had once been the most feared force in the galaxy. Ren tried to speak carefully. Invictus, what is your purpose? The voice replied without hesitation. Primary mission, secure human territories, neutralize enemy fleets, protect human civilization at all costs. Tor muttered under his breath, if this thing wakes up fully, the whole galaxy will notice. The lights in the room grew brighter. Energy readings on the crew's scanners began to climb rapidly. Somewhere deep within the ship, massive engines groaned to life after centuries of silence. The air grew warmer, and a deep hum filled the corridors. Invictus was awakening. The voice spoke again, now with a sharper tone. Hostile signatures detected. One vessel inbound. Distance 70,000 kilometers. Weapons system charging. Ren's mind raced. The Wayfarer was lightly armed and no match for a true warship. If something hostile was coming, their only hope might be the ancient dreadnought itself. But giving it permission to engage meant letting a weapon of legend act freely. Captain, Lyra said, eyes on her scanner. The incoming ship is Varco's design. They're hailing us. Ren stepped toward the central chair. The glow of the consoles reflected in his visor as he looked down at the waiting pedestal. The voice of Invictus spoke once more. Do you wish the war to continue? The voice of Invictus echoed through the control room, calm yet heavy with meaning. Do you wish the war to continue? Ren's hand hovered above the glowing emblem on the pedestal. He felt the weight of the question. This ship was ancient, powerful, and dangerous. If he answered yes, he might set events in motion that no one could control. If he answered no, the approaching vessel might destroy them before they could escape. Before he could speak, the console nearest to him lit with new information. A three-dimensional image formed in the air, showing the incoming ship. It was long and sharp, with armor plates shaped like jagged blades. On its side was the insignia of the Varco's Dominion, a rising sun over a broken planet. Lyra's voice was tense. The Varco's ship is called the Invincible. I have heard about it. They say it has never been defeated in battle. Tor glanced at the readings. They are charging weapons. If they fire, our ship will not last even one shot. The Varco's captain's voice came over the comm. It was deep and full of pride. A known vessel. You are in possession of restricted salvage. Surrender it to the Varco's Dominion. If you refuse, you will be destroyed. Ren stood silent for a moment. His eyes moved from the approaching image to the command pedestal. Invictus, he said slowly. If you engage, can you protect us? The AI answered at once. Yes. Enemy vessel classified as high threat. Probability of destruction 99.7%. The confidence in the voice was like cold steel. Ren took a breath and gave his answer. Engage. The hum in the walls deepened. Power surged through the ship, shaking the floor under their boots. Along the hull of Invictus, hidden weapon. Ports slid open, revealing batteries of cannons, missile bays, and beam emitters. Energy flowed into them, making the metal glow faintly in the dark. Target locked, said the AI. Firing in 10 seconds. The Wayfarer crew held their breath as Invictus began its attack. In the void outside, streaks of brilliant light tore from the dreadnought's weapons. They crossed the empty distance in less than a heartbeat. The first volley struck the Invincible's shields, sending ripples of energy across its surface. The second volley punched straight through the shields as if they were nothing. Armor melted and hull plates shattered. Inside the Varco's ship, alarms must have been screaming. But to Ren and his crew, there was only the silent flash of explosions in the distance. Invictus fired again, each blast precise and unrelenting. Within minutes, The mighty Varko's vessel was breaking apart. Its one sprout shape twisted into burning fragments that spun away into the black. A final explosion lit the space between the two ships, and then there was only silence. Enemy vessel destroyed, Invictus reported. No survivors detected. The crew of the Wayfarer stared at the viewing screens, stunned. Lyra shook her head. I cannot believe what I just saw. That ship was feared across the galaxy, and Invictus destroyed it in minutes. Tor muttered, we are standing inside a legend. Ren, however, was not thinking about victory. He was thinking about the consequences. If the Invincible had been as famous as Lyra said, then its destruction would not go unnoticed. News of this battle would spread fast, and when it did, every enemy of humanity, even those who thought humans gone forever, would come looking for the ship that had done this. As if reading his thoughts, Invictus spoke again. Enemy communication logs indicate a distress signal was sent before destruction. Estimated time until Varko's fleet arrival, 70 hours. 70 hours, Ren repeated quietly. That's not much. We should leave now, Lyra said quickly. We can tow Invictus somewhere safe. But Invictus interrupted. This vessel cannot be towed. Independent movement systems are fully operational. Recommend activating long-range jump engines to reach secure coordinates. Secure coordinates. Tor said, raising an eyebrow. You mean human coordinates? Yes, Invictus confirmed. Locations where other strategic assets are stored. Ren studied the main display. Other assets affirmative. 5 additional dreadnoughts are in dormant state. They can be awakened to respond to renewed threats. The thought of 6 ships like Invictus moving together was both exciting and terrifying. Ren knew that such a force could change the balance of power in the galaxy, but it would also make the enemies of humanity desperate to destroy them before they could fully awaken. Before Ren could answer, another alert sounded. Invictus had detected faint energy readings from the wreckage of the Invincible. Warning, the AI said, multiple escape pods launched before destruction. Probability of survivors reaching nearby relay stations. High. That means they'll tell everyone what happened, Lyra said. It also means the Varkos will want revenge. Tor added. Ren placed his hands on the sides of the central chair. Invictus, can you get us out of here before they arrive? Yes, the AI replied. But I require destination authorization. Do you authorize jump to human secure location? The room was silent, except for the steady hum of the dreadnoughts. Systems. Ren thought of the danger ahead, the stories of human power, and the fact that they were already part of something much bigger than a salvage job. I authorize it, he said. Energy surged through the ship. The lights brightened, and the deep sound of the engines grew until it filled every corridor. On the viewing screens, a circular distortion appeared ahead, shimmering like liquid glass. Invictus began to move toward it. Just before they entered the jump, Ren looked back at the wreckage of the Invincible. The twisted remains drifted in the dark, silent witnesses to the end of its legend. He wondered how long it would take before the galaxy realized a new legend had awakened, one built of steel, fire, and human design. The distortion expanded, swallowing the dreadnought, and the small Wayfarer docked to its side. Then, in a flash of light, both ships were gone, far away, beyond the reach of current Varko's patrols. A fleet commander sat in his war room staring at a sudden alert on his display. His crew reported that the Invincible had been destroyed by an unidentified warship bearing an ancient human emblem. The commander stood slowly, his expression hard. Across the galaxy, other powers were receiving the same message. The destruction of the Invincible was no longer just a battle. It was the spark that would light something far greater and far more dangerous. The jump ended with a sudden flash, and the massive form of Invictus emerged into the quiet of deep space. Around it stretched a star field untouched by trade routes or patrol lines. The Wayfarer, still docked to the dreadnought's side, rattled slightly as the jump field collapsed. Ren stood in the control room of Invictus, scanning the new readings on the display screens. The air felt heavier here, as if the ship itself carried the weight of its long history. Lyra, still at the navigation console, checked their location. No active traffic in this sector, she reported. It's almost empty, Invictus spoke, with the same measured tone as before. We have arrived in a remote holding zone used during the final stage of the human war. Coordinates for additional assets are stored here, awaiting further instructions. Rin wanted to ask more about these assets, but his thoughts kept returning to the battle they had just left. The Invincible had been destroyed in minutes. That was something the galaxy would never forget. He knew the response would be swift and dangerous. How long before the Varkos know where we are? Rin asked. Unknown, Invictus replied. Probability of pursuit within 1 week is high. Analysis suggests other factions will respond as well. Tor gave a humorless smile. So, we have a warship that can crush almost anything in its path, and the whole galaxy might be about to come after us. Sounds like we made history without meaning to. Rin did not answer. His eyes rested on the emblem in the center of the control room floor. It seemed more than just a mark of identity. It was a warning to anyone who stood against it. Before the crew could discuss their next step, Invictus interrupted. Incoming transmission. Origin, Varkos High Command. Signal boosted through multiple relay stations. Message for open broadcast. Put it on, Rin said. The screens changed to show the image of a Varkos leader. His scaled face was lit by the glow of a command hall. His voice carried the force of someone used to commanding armies. To all systems under Varkos protection, he began, we report a grave act of aggression. Our flagship, the Invincible, has been destroyed by an unidentified warship of ancient human design. We demand the surrender of this vessel and any who control it. All allies of the Varkos are called to join in a united retaliation. This is not a request, it is a command. The image vanished. Silence returned to the control room. They are not wasting any time, Lyra said. Tor shook his head. That message will be repeated across every major channel. Soon every scavenger, mercenary, and war fleet will be hunting us. Rin turned to Invictus. Can we defend ourselves against multiple fleet? Single ship engagement odds are favorable. The AI replied. Simultaneous multi-fleet engagement odds are below 20%. Strategic recommendation. Awaken additional assets. The weight of that suggestion settled over the crew. They had only just begun to understand what Invictus could do, and now the AI was suggesting finding more ships like it. Where's the nearest one? Rin asked. 4.7 light-years from current position, Invictus said. Stored in dormant state inside asteroid base designation Hammerfall. Base status, unknown. Rin looked at Lyra and Tor. We find it before the Varkos find us. Invictus began to plot a course, but before they could leave, new alerts filled the display. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected, the AI reported. Vessels entering system in 3 minutes. Identification. Varkos Hunter-class interceptors. Quantity, 6. They found us faster than we thought, Lyra said. Sharply, do we run? Tor asked. Rin shook his head. If we lead them straight to Hammerfall, they'll destroy the other asset before we can wake it. We hold them here. Invictus confirmed, weapons primed, enemy vessels approaching combat range. The crew felt the deep thrum of the dreadnoughts. Systems as power shifted to the weapons grid, outside. The 6 Varkos ships formed a wide attack pattern, moving in at high speed. They were small compared to Invictus, but fast and armed with weapons meant to tear through heavy armor. The first volley of fire came from the interceptors, streaks of plasma flashing across the void. Shields round Invictus flared bright, absorbing the hits without damage. The dreadnought answered with a single blast from its forward cannon. One interceptor was hit directly, vanishing in a burst of light and debris. The others broke formation, weaving in tight arcs to avoid the larger ships. Main weapons. But Invictus adapted, switching to rapid-fire turrets that tracked their movements. A second and third interceptor were destroyed in quick succession. One Varkos ship managed to slip close enough to fire a heavy torpedo. It slammed into Invictus's shields, shaking the deck under the crew's feet. Shields holding at 93%. The AI reported calmly that within moments, only 2 interceptors remained. They turned and fled, racing toward the edge of the system. They are retreating, Lyra said. Correction, Invictus added. They are retreating to transmit coordinates of our location. Rin made his decision quickly. Take them out. The dreadnought's long-range railgun fired twice. Both fleeing ships vanished before they could reach the jump point. The battle was over almost as quickly as it had begun. But Rin knew this was only a taste of what was coming. Invictus spoke again. Recommendation unchanged. The longer we remain without support, the greater the risk of defeat. Shall I set course for Hammerfall? Yes. Rin said firmly. The AI plotted the route and prepared the jump drive. As the stars outside blurred into streaks of light, Rin stood at the center of the control room, hands resting on the rail. The destruction of the Invincible had already begun to change the balance of power. The Varkos would not stop. Their allies would not stop. And soon, the entire galaxy would know the truth. Humanity's most dangerous weapons were waking again. What no one in that moment could predict was that the retaliation they were about to face would grow far beyond the Varkos alone. The destruction of one flagship had ignited something much larger. The war that Invictus was built for had been silent for centuries. Now, it was stirring again. The jump to the Hammerfall system was smooth, but tension inside the control room of Invictus was growing. The crew of the Wayfarer had seen the power of the dreadnought, yet they knew the Varkos would not stop chasing them. Somewhere ahead was another human warship, asleep for centuries. But between them and that hope stood the constant threat of pursuit. The Hammerfall asteroid appeared as a jagged shadow against the light of a distant sun. It spun slowly, its rocky surface marked by deep scars. As Invictus approached, faint structures became visible, armored docking bays carved into the asteroid's surface. The design was old but precise, built for ships larger than most modern vessels. Scanning, Invictus reported. No active life signs, minimal power signatures. Structural integrity at 74%. This facility has not been accessed in over 3 centuries. Lyra adjusted her console. Looks like the perfect hiding place. Tor studied his own display. Or a perfect trap. Invictus slowed as it neared the largest docking entrance. Heavy blast doors, rusted at the edges but still strong, blocked the way. The dreadnought fired a short burst from its cutting beams. The metal glowed red before breaking apart, revealing the dark interior of the asteroid base. Invictus glided inside, its engines lighting the walls with a cold blue glow. In the center of the cavern sat another warship, similar in shape to Invictus, but slightly smaller. Its hull was coated with dust and ice, but its lines spoke of the same deadly design. The human emblem was faintly visible near its bow. There it is, Tor said quietly. Another one. Invictus spoke. Designation Resolute, status dormant, systems offline. Reactivation will require 40 minutes, Rin nodded. Begin the process. Power conduits extended from Invictus to the Resolute. Slowly, the dormant ship's lights flickered. The hum of ancient systems began to echo in the cavern. The air filled with the low vibration of energy returning to places where silence had reigned for lifetimes. But the moment was cut short by an urgent alarm. Warning. Invictus announced, multiple vessels entering system. Identification. Varko's fleet, 8 ships, rivaling for minutes. They found us again, Lyra said sharply. Tor's hands moved quickly over his console. Fleet composition. To destroyers, 6 interceptors. Invictus replied. They are equipped with heavy torpedoes and ion cannons. Rin's eyes narrowed. Can the Resolute fight? Negative, said the AI. Reactivation at 23%. We must defend the facility until completion. The docking cavern was too small for Invictus to maneuver easily, so Rin made his choice fast. Take us outside. Meet them before they reach the asteroid. The massive dreadnought backed out of the docking bay and turned to face the approaching enemy. The Varko's fleet entered sensor range, their formation tight and fast. The lead destroyer opened a channel. Unidentified vessel, the Varko's captain said, his voice filled with cold anger. You are accused of destroying our flagship, the Invincible. Surrender now, or you will be reduced to wreckage. Rin stood tall at the central command rail. We are not surrendering. The Varko's captain's eyes narrowed. Then you will share the fate of your kind, extinction. The channel cut off. and the first volley of torpedoes blazed toward Invictus. Shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the hits. The dreadnought returned fire. Heavy beam cannons slicing through space. One interceptor was destroyed instantly. A second crippled and spinning away. The destroyers spread out, trying to flank. The larger ship, Invictus, rotated smoothly, firing railguns at long range. Metal tore and fire erupted from one of the destroyers, but the other pressed in, launching more torpedoes. Inside the asteroid, the Resolute systems climbed toward full power. Invictus kept track of the timer, reactivation at 64%, the AI reported. We must hold for 12 more minutes. The battle turned fierce. Varco's interceptors swarmed in close, peppering the dreadnought's shields with rapid cannon fire. Invictus countered with point defense guns, turning two more interceptors into drifting wrecks. The last surviving small craft pulled away to regroup. Then the second destroyer scored a direct hit with an ion cannon. The blast struck Invictus's shields hard enough to throw Ren and the crew off balance. Shields at 71%, the AI confirmed. We can't let them get past us to the asteroid. Ren said, agreed. Invictus replied, switching to high-intensity assault mode. The dreadnought surged forward, main thrusters burning bright. It closed the distance to the nearest destroyer and fired a full spread of missiles. The enemy's shields collapsed under the impact, and a final beam blast split the ship in two. Debris scattered through space. The remaining destroyer tried to retreat, but Invictus targeted its engines. A railgun shell tore through the rear of the ship, and fire consumed its core. In seconds, it was gone. The battle was quiet again, except for the sound of the crew's breathing and the steady hum of Invictus's systems. Reactivation complete, Invictus reported. Inside the asteroid, the Resolute's lights burned steady now. Its engines powered up, and the great ship drifted forward, guided by automated systems. It moved alongside Invictus, its hull gleaming in the light of the distant star. For the first time in centuries, two human dreadnoughts flew together. Ren watched as the new ship transmitted its recognition code to Invictus. We have a better chance now, he said, but Invictus's voice held no relief. Additional fleet movements detected on long-range sensors. This engagement will be remembered, and more will come. Tor glanced at Ren. The Varcos won't forgive the destruction of the Invincible. This was their pride. You took it from them. Ren thought about the battle. The Invincible had been more than just a warship to the Varcos. It had been a symbol of power, fear, and dominance. Its sudden defeat had shaken that image across the galaxy. That kind of loss would not only demand revenge. It would spark fear in others. Lyra spoke quietly, almost to herself. If they feared us before, they'll come at us with everything now. The Resolute fell into formation beside Invictus, its massive weapons slowly charging. The sight filled Ren with a strange mix of pride and unease. Humanity's deadliest tools were waking, and with them, the kind of war the galaxy had not seen in generations. Two ships are better than one, Tor said. But we're going to need all six. Ren nodded. Then we find the rest. Before they find us, the dreadnoughts turned together, their engines burning bright in the dark. Behind them, the shattered remains of the Varcos fleet drifted silently. Somewhere out there, news of this battle was already racing through communication channels, carrying a single truth. The legend of the Invincible had been shattered, and something far older had taken its place. The galaxy was about to change. Far from the Hammerfall system, in the Grand Council chamber of the Varcos Dominion, the air was thick with tension. The destruction of the Invincible had sent shockwaves through the halls of power. Generals, admirals, and political leaders stood in a semicircle around a large holographic display showing the wreckage of their once proud flagship. At the center stood Supreme Commander Drenner, his scaled hands gripping the edge of the display table. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with anger. The Invincible was more than a warship, he said to those gathered. It was the heart of our strength, the symbol of our dominance. And now, in minutes, it has been torn apart by an ancient human weapon. One of the admirals stepped forward. The recordings from the battle confirm it. The ship was identified as a human dreadnought called Invictus. It is accompanied now by a second warship, the Resolute. Both are heavily armed and far beyond current fleet designs. Drenner looked around the chamber. Then we must act, not just to destroy these ships, but to remind the galaxy that the Dominion cannot be challenged without consequence. Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. A plan began to take shape. Fleets would be called from the border worlds. Allies summoned from across Varkos-controlled space. This would not be a hunt for one ship. It would be a campaign to erase a threat before it could grow in a distant star system. Aboard a neutral trade station, merchants and travelers watched the same recordings on public screens. The sight of the Invincible's defeat was played over and over. For many, it was the first proof they had ever seen that the old human legends were true. Some watched with awe, others with fear. A trader from the Kelleran Confederacy shook his head as the scene replayed. If there are more of these ships out there, the balance of power is going to change. A nearby mercenary captain leaned closer. Change means opportunity. Some will want to destroy these ships, others might want to hire them. Across the galaxy, in quiet corners and grand halls alike, the same conversation was happening. The name Invictus was being spoken in every language, and with it came the shadow of uncertainty. Back in the Hammerfall system, Ren stood on the bridge of Invictus, watching the twin warships move together in space. The Resolute systems were now fully active, its sleek shape mirroring the deadly purpose of its older sister. Status of the Resolute? Ren asked. Operational. Invictus replied. Primary weapons charged. Shields at full strength. Crew capacity is unfilled. Automation engaged for combat functions. Tor studied the tactical display. We can fight harder now. But if the Varkos are calling in fleets, even 2 of these ships might not be enough. They will come. Lyra said, not just the Varkos. The galaxy doesn't forget something like this. Even species who hated the Varkos might see us as a threat too. Ren nodded. Which means we need the rest of the fleet before they close in. Invictus brought up a star map, marking the locations of 3 other dormant dreadnoughts. One was hidden in the orbit of a dead world, another buried in the ice of a frozen moon, and the last concealed inside the wreckage of an artificial ring around a gas giant. The closest is 3 jumps away, Invictus said, but we must assume hostile presence along the route while Ren planned. The reaction across the galaxy was building. The Varkos' message calling for united retaliation reached the Council worlds of the Triumph Alliance, old enemies of humanity from the ancient war. Their leaders gathered in a chamber lit by cold blue light. This is our chance, said one counselor. The humans are not gone. If their warships rise again, we will face the same destruction our ancestors did. We must join the Dominions. Retaliation. Another counselor was more cautious. If we strike too openly, the galaxy will see us as aggressors. Let the Varkos bleed first, then we move in. In the end, they agreed to send covert fleets, ships without insignia, to hunt for Invictus. They will let the Dominion take the public blame while they struck from the shadows. Even in far-off systems with no history against humans, the awakening of Invictus caused unease. The free colonies, small worlds scattered along the edge of explored space, held an emergency meeting of their defense council. The debate was fierce. Why should we get involved? One governor asked. If the humans want to fight the Varkos, let them, because if they win, another replied, who will stop them? Power like that doesn't just vanish. If the Varkos fall, the humans will be the only ones left with super weapons. And so, fleets were prepared, some to attack, some to defend, but all with their eyes fixed on the same target, on the bridge of Invictus. Ren felt the storm building even if he could not see it yet. Every time he looked at the human emblem in the floor, he thought about the choice he had made. They could have fled. They could have hidden. Instead, they had stood and fought. And the galaxy had noticed. Lyra broke the silence. Long range scans are picking up increased communications traffic across multiple systems. Some of it is encrypted, but it's spreading fast. The name Invictus is in the transmissions. That's the spark, Tor said. And sparks make fires. Invictus confirmed the danger. Analysis of data suggests multiple factions mobilizing fleets. Estimated time before first major engagement. Less than 10 days. We're a step closer to the main display. Then we find the next ship in less than 10 days. The two dreadnoughts turn together, their engines bright against the darkness. Their next destination was locked in there. Course set, but as they moved into the jump corridor, Ring could not shake the feeling that they were already surrounded, not by enemy ships, but by the attention of an entire galaxy. Now watching them, the destruction of the Invincible had not just ended one battle. It had awakened an old fear and given birth to something new, a retaliation that would span worlds. Somewhere deep inside Invictus, the AI ran silent calculations. It did not speak of them aloud, but its conclusions were clear. This was no longer a mission of survival. This was the beginning of a war that would decide the place of humanity in the galaxy once and for all. The space ahead of Invictus and Resolute stretched cold and empty, but the tension inside the ships was thick enough to cut. The galaxy's eyes were watching. Fleets moved in shadow, their sensors trained on the paths of the ancient warships. Every jump brought the threat closer. Ren stood on the bridge of Invictus, studying the star map glowing in front of him. The next target was the dreadnought buried in the orbit of the dead world Viridian. The planet was lifeless, its surface cracked and dark, with no sign of past civilization, only ruins hidden beneath the surface. Approaching Viridian's system, Invictus announced, "All systems nominal. Enemy fleets are detected 20 jumps away but closing fast." Tor's voice was calm but firm. "We have little time. The longer we wait, the more fleets gather. We must awaken the dreadnoughts quickly." Lyra nodded, activating deep scan of the planet's surface for the burial site outside the viewport. The cold rock of Viridian loomed closer. The orbital scanners began to pulse, searching for the hidden docking bay. After minutes, a faint structure was revealed, an ancient bunker embedded in the southern hemisphere, shielded from scans by layers of rock and old technology. "We have located the burial site," Lyra said. "Entry points are heavily fortified, but the defenses are inactive." Invictus carefully positioned itself in orbit while the Resolute prepared its docking clamps. Automated drones were deployed to survey and open the way. Suddenly, an alert flashed, incoming contacts on long-range sensors. Varkos and Triumph Alliance fleets detected. Estimated time to arrival, 2 days. Ren clenched his fists. They are coming faster than expected. Invictus responded, recommended action. Secure dreadnought quickly and prepare defenses. The two ships moved closer to the asteroid-sized bunker, beams scanning and cutting through layers of hardened metal. The doors opened slowly, revealing a large docking bay inside. Resolute slipped in first, systems powering up as the team worked to revive the ship's AI inside the bay. Robotic repair units began their work on the dormant dreadnought. Its name, Sentinel, appeared faintly on the hull. The ship's dark surface reflected the lights of Invictus and Resolute. Sentinel AI core detected. Lyra reported, powering up. The deep silence was broken by a soft hum as systems flickered to life. The ancient ship awakened, its vast array of sensors coming online. The dreadnought moved forward slowly, its engines warming. "We have 3 ships now," Tor said. "Stronger, but still vulnerable." As they prepared to leave, another alert came in. Multiple enemy fighters detected approaching the system. Varkos interceptors and Triumph Alliance scout ships were closing in. The battle was about to begin. Ren stood firm. "Deploy defense formations. We cannot lose Sentinel after all this effort." Invictus opened fire with long-range cannons, lighting the dark space with beams of energy. The Resolute and Sentinel followed, their weapons joining the chorus of defense. The small ships swarmed, fast and agile, but the dreadnoughts held their ground, their shields absorbing every strike. After a fierce exchange, the enemy forces retreated. "Temporary victory," Invictus said. "We must move now." Inside the command room, Ren turned to his crew. "This fight is only the beginning. We are drawing the galaxy's attention, and they will not stop until we are destroyed." Lyra studied the star charts. Our next dreadnought is hidden inside the ruins of the gas giant's ring. It will be more difficult to reach, Rince. Face hardened, then we prepare for a new kind of battle. As they jump to the next system, a new message came through encrypted channels. It was from an unknown source. To Invictus and crew, the message began. You are walking a dangerous path. The last shield program was designed not only to protect humanity, but to guard a secret. The fleets hunting you seek more than revenge. They want control of something buried in the heart of the ancient warships. Ren frowned. Who sent this? The AI responded. Signal trace indicates origin within the forgotten human colony of Cilia. Outside normal communication channels, Tor rubbed his chin. We may have allies yet, or hidden enemies. Lyra said quietly, we need to learn more about the last shield program. It might be the key to turning the tide. Ren nodded. Set course for Cilia. We need answers. And fast. The jump to Cilia was tense. The colony was a hidden world, forgotten by most but still holding pieces of humanity's ancient past. As they entered orbit, the crew saw the planet was scarred, its cities abandoned, but technology is still active in places. They contacted the colony's AI archive, requesting access to data on the last shield program. After minutes of waiting, a calm voice responded. Welcome, Invictus. I am Cora, the keeper of Cilia's knowledge. The last shield program was humanity's final defense against annihilation. It is more than weapons. It is a network and intelligence that binds the dreadnoughts together. Ren leaned forward. How do we activate this network fully? Cora's tone was serious. Each dreadnought holds a piece of the program. Only when all 6 are awakened can the last shield be fully restored. Its power will surpass anything the galaxy has seen. Lyra's eyes widened. That means we are close to something incredible, Cora added, but it also means the fleets hunting you want the program for themselves. If they seize it, they will control the future. Ren's jaw tightened. Then we must reach the last ships before they do. Cora continued. Cilia holds the location of one dreadnought. The final one remains lost, buried deep inside the ruins of the old human homeworld, Earth. Its location is a secret even to me. Tor's voice was low. Earth, the place of legends. Ren stood tall. We have no choice. We awaken them. Fleet, or humanity's legacy ends here. Outside, the dreadnoughts waited. The battle for survival had become a race against time. The fleets from Varkos and the Triumph Alliance moved closer. Their combined forces a growing storm. Invictus, Resolute, and Sentinel formed a tight triangle in space, shields overlapping and weapons ready. Their mission was no longer just defense. It was a gambit move to force the enemy's hand and reveal their true strength. Inside Invictus, the crew prepared for what was coming. Ren spoke quietly. The galaxy has never seen anything like. U.S., we carry humanity's past and future. The last shield program will be our greatest weapon, but only if we survive long enough to use it. Lyra looked out the viewport. The fleets are close. We must be ready. Tor's hand rested on the weapon's control. Then let them come. The stars beyond the ships shimmered with danger, but also with hope. The Keeper's gambit was in motion. The dark silence of space shattered as the fleets arrived. Hundreds of warships, sharp and deadly, surrounded the 3 dreadnoughts Invictus, Resolute, and Sentinel. The Varkos Dominion, the Triumph Alliance, and several smaller coalitions had combined forces to end the threat once and for all. Ren stood on the bridge of Invictus, watching the enemy fleets form their battle lines. His heart beat steady but fierce. This was the moment they had been preparing for, the final test of their resolve. Enemy fleets closing to firing range, Invictus announced. Shields at maximum capacity. Weapons ready. Lyra looked over the tactical map. They have the numbers, but we have the advantage of our dreadnought technology. Tor adjusted the weapon controls. We must use it wisely. Every shot counts. Ren's eyes narrowed. We fight not only for survival, but for the future of humanity. The fleets opened fire. Beams of energy and explosive missiles lit the void. The dreadnoughts answered back with power that shook space itself. Invictus unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, each strike precise and deadly. Resolute focused on defense. projecting energy shields to protect their formation. Sentinel moved like a silent guardian, targeting enemy command ships with heavy railguns. The battle was fierce, the chaos of war filling every sensor and screen. Fighters darted through the gaps, seeking to break the shield lines. But the human dreadnoughts moved with a confidence born of long-forgotten war training. Enemy flagship down. Invictus reported after a well-placed strike. Momentum is shifting. Ren allowed himself a brief smile. Keep pushing. Amid the battle, Invictus received another encrypted message. It was from Cora, the keeper of Celia's knowledge. The last shield program is ready for activation. She said, but it requires the core link from Earth's dreadnought. Without it, the network cannot function. Ren's face grew serious. Earth is the final piece. Coordinates have been uploaded. Cora continued, you must decide if you want to risk the journey while under attack. Tor spoke first. If we do not complete the network, we lose this fight. Lyra nodded. It is our only chance. Ren made his decision. Prepare to jump to Earth. We will finish this. The jump to Earth was tense and dangerous. Enemy ships tried to intercept them, launching fighter waves and missile barrages. The dreadnoughts held firm, their shields glowing bright against the assault. When they arrived in orbit, Earth was a shadow of its former self. The blue and green planet was scarred by centuries of conflict and neglect. Cities lay in ruins, nature reclaiming what was lost, scanning for dreadnought burial site. Invictus said after long minutes. A massive structure was found deep beneath the surface, an ancient underground facility, guarded by automated defenses still active after all this time. Entry is possible, but risky, Lyra warned. Defenses will react. Ren nodded. We have no choice. Inside the underground complex, Ren, Lyra, and Tor led a small team of technicians and soldiers. The corridors were dark and cold, filled with echoes of a forgotten past, ancient. Machines hummed faintly, waiting to be awakened. They reached the core chamber, where the last dreadnought rested, named Aegis. Its massive form was covered in dust and old armor plating. The AI core was offline, but the system showed signs of life. The team worked quickly, repairing circuits and bypassing security locks. Suddenly, alarms blared through the complex. Defense turrets came to life, firing on the intruders. Take cover, Ren shouted as they dodged the blasts. The soldiers returned fire, disabling the turrets one by one. It was a hard fight, but they reached the AI core and began reactivation. With a deep hum, Aegis came alive. Its eyes glowed with a soft blue light as systems booted up. Welcome back, the AI said in a calm voice. I'm Aegis, the guardian of the last shield program. Ren stepped forward. We need your help to activate the network. The galaxy is at war, and our survival depends on it, Aegis replied. The network can only function if all dreadnoughts are linked. Your fleet is strong, but the enemy grows closer, Lyra asked. Can the last shield program give us the edge we need? Aegis answered. It will enhance your ship's defenses and coordinate your weapons with perfect precision. It is the final hope of humanity. Back in orbit, Invictus, resolute, Sentinel. And now Aegis prepared for the final battle. The enemy fleets had regrouped and were ready to strike again with full force. Ren stood on the bridge of Invictus, feeling the weight of the moment. This is our fight. We carry the legacy of a forgotten war and the hope for a new future. The last shield program was activated. Across the dreadnoughts, systems linked together, creating a network of strength and intelligence far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Their shields glowed brighter, weapons fired with new accuracy, and their movements were perfectly synchronized. The enemy fleets faced a force unlike any before. The battle began again, louder and more intense. Enemy ships launched waves of attacks, but the human dreadnoughts moved as one. Invictus fired long-range beams that pierced through enemy shields. Resolute projected energy fields that deflected incoming missiles. Sentinel targeted the largest warships with heavy cannons. Aegis coordinated every attack and defense, its AI calculating the best strategy in real time. Enemy ships fell one by one. Their formations broke, and chaos spread through their ranks. Enemy flagship destroyed. Invictus reported. The enemy forces are retreating. Ren exhaled deeply. We have won the battle. But the war was far from over. The fleets that had attacked were only the beginning. Across the galaxy, many more eyes watched, some with fear, others with greed. Humanity's return to power had sparked a new era. The forgotten warships were no longer legends. They were real, and their strength was undeniable. Ren looked at his crew and spoke with hope. We have shown the galaxy that humanity still stands. The last shield program is our legacy. It is our future. Lyra smiled softly. And it is a future worth fighting for, Tor added. We will protect it, no matter the cost, as Invictus. And its fleet set course for the stars. A new message arrived from Cora. The galaxy will remember this day, she said. The retaliation has begun. But the greatest challenges lie ahead. Ren nodded. Then we will be ready. The stars stretched before them endless and full of possibility. The forgotten human warships had destroyed one enemy, sparked a galactic retaliation, and now carried the hope of an entire race. This was only the beginning.